Hey guys, sorry for I just made it here, so let me prep a little bit. Welcome back to the live stream here on YouTube on Wednesdays. Sorry, last week was the 4th of July, so considering that most of my audience comes from the US, I decided to give it a holiday, plus I was very busy, hence the no news and the no live stream last week. But this week, back with the news and back with the live stream. So yeah, welcome to Wednesday's Live. If you have any questions, remember you can ask whatever you want. Today I was thinking about doing a bit of a large format video showing kind of lenses and stuff I use and stuff like that. But you guys can always ask whatever you want. So yeah, whatever you want to ask, let me just pick up a little bit. Studio partner used them, Amiya with the Polaroid back the other day, and I'll put the large format suitcase I use for most of my stuff out here. I'm missing some lenses which are at home, but I think it could be interesting to show what kind of stuff I use and why I use it, same as I did with the medium format, but with large format. So give me a sec, let me pull up. The big suitcase. You probably can't see, and let me see if I can include the suitcase a little bit. Oop, the other way around. A little bit there. Let me put this a little bit lower. Maybe there. So yeah, this is the Pelican case I use when I do workshops and stuff, and I have a bunch of stuff in here. So yeah, just if you want to ask something large format, it'll be what I hope to talk mostly today. Hi, Hao, Nagita, and Mateo. So yeah, when I teach workshops, I usually take a Graflex camera with me, mostly because the Graflex is one of those cameras that is very fun to use, and this one comes with the rear shutter on the back. So you can use, or the focal plane shutter, which you can use lenses with no shutter and stuff like that, which is pretty fun. And people love seeing that. So that's the Graflex. With the lens, this is one of the benefits of the Graflex, is you can fit a lens inside and then store it back in. Sorry if it get a little sweaty, it's extremely hot in the studio. So that's the Graflex, which is missing the focusing hood. I hope it's somewhere in here. Sinar 4x5. The good thing about the Sinar camera and why I use it mostly, let me grab the camera, is because with this system, what you see here, the front frame and the back frame, you can change formats. It can be a 4x5 like you see here, it can be an 8x10, it can be a 5x7. And some people even build their own bigger formats. So yeah, Sinar P2 and the back for the 4x5. That's what I use so people can change. Last workshop we used some 8x10s on the Sinar. So for them to learn how to use that. So yeah, one thing I've never said enough, and I don't know if I've ever made a video, is gaffer tape is one of those things that's amazing to have on location. So I always carry some like this, but apart from that, on all of my tripods, if you've seen, wait a sec, there is a few laps of gaffer tape, and this means that if I forget my gaffer tape, I always have my tripods with me shooting large format, and I have some. This is very necessary sometimes for film holders, for labeling, sometimes to close the film boxes. Sometimes if something broke or you need to just attach it quickly. I've sometimes lost little screws of cameras that have come off, and you just, if you see it fall, you put a little bit of gaffer tape, tape it back to the camera or the suitcase or whatever, and you have your little screw for when you get back home and you can put it back on the camera or the tripod. So yeah, gaffer tape is very important. Little pneumatic air release, basically. This is basically an air pump, like those little blowers, and when you press it, you see it come out here. It comes out and it exposes. So this is for long, basically selfies. Pretty fun. You can like set your camera, go away, and use this either stepping on it. One, how would I say, one tip is whoever's pressing it will always look like he's farting, because you put this concentrated face like, and it looks like you're just farting. So if you're the one triggering the release, try to keep a normal face while doing it, because if not, it just looks weird. I've never seen anyone do it without looking weird. Pretty sure a lot of folks watching the English match that's on now, I have it on in the background. Yeah, I was in London this weekend watching the quarterfinals, so I can imagine there's a lot of people watching the game. What else do I carry? Usually carry some film. We usually expose some FP100C, HP5, and Portra 160. This is what we use at the workshops, these three combinations. Lens-wise, I take a bit of everything, but mostly everyone has a wide, a normal, and a long lens. This is a 120 Nico lens, probably the other way around, so excuse me. See, maybe you can read it like that. It's mirrored. This is the phone thing. This will cover 8x10, extremely wide on 8x10. The widest you can use on 8x10 that's commercially normal is the 110 from Schneider, the XL. But this is fairly inexpensive and easy to find. These go for around 450 to 500 bucks. It's an f8 lens, but so it's, you can see it's a Linhof Chamonix branded one. Another tip, if you ever buy the Chamonix lens boards, let me see if I can use something to give it a little contrast. Okay, so the Chamonix Linhof boards don't come with this little cutout. And that means that on certain adapters, it won't work. So what I did is I grabbed the Dremel and I sanded this little bit here and this little bit here so it would work. How you miss your 4x5, but it's very discouraging. Let me see. Oop, wait. Comments, come on. Okay, whenever I use it outside, because it's large and quite intimidating for the people in the US at least. I very much understand you how I would miss 4x5, I stopped shooting it. And I'm going with 8x10 for now. And I have decided to do a few different projects with the 8x10. Hopefully to be able to produce content for YouTube, because I think it's interesting to share what I'm doing. One of them is going to be at work, apart from the architecture, which I'm long due, which I'm going to be doing the architecture series on 8x10 finally. So yeah, I would miss it a lot, but it is big and a lot of people don't understand it. Do you have any suggestions for me? I tried bulb mode 1, the Nikon F100, but there's no threaded shutter button. Probably on the Nikon F100, it already used one of those remotes. I would have to look up the instructions, Svein. But yeah, probably it already has one of those little triggers like the modern DSLRs have. Then I take multiple different loops. This one is one made by Ebony, which you probably can see the name on the top here. And this is like a one big eye. Let me see. Does it make my eye huge? Probably. I had an Ebony for a while and came with a bunch of accessories. I kept all the accessories, so this is one of them. It's pretty awesome. But I still use the inexpensive one, which is the Peak 5 times. I've said it many times, but I use the 5 times more than anything else. Instant backs for the 4x5. More instant backs for the 4x5. Just get into the zone and don't mind other people, although I'm so done with people photobombing when I'm working the camera. When I use my large format camera, usually there's two kinds of people. At least, yeah, two main groups. There's the people that are very careful not to disturb you, like they see you focusing and they like don't want to be in the frame and just move away like, oh, sorry. And then there's people that just straight up just don't care that you're there, stand in front of you forever. What I've learned to do is the people that are careful, just don't mind them, let them do their thing, because if you try to explain it's fine, you're just focusing, they'll stop and start asking, and sometimes it's worse than better. And those people that stand in front and don't care, just when you're ready, just tap their shoulder or something, be like, excuse me, and they're usually very nice, and they're like, oh, sorry, even though they did see you, they act like they never saw you. So yeah, that's what I try to do. Let me see, what else do we have? 150 little lens. This is the G Claron, I don't know if you can see it. G Claron 150 millimeters f9. Super teeny lens, covers 4x5, 5x7, and even 8x10. But 8x10 just barely. Look how small that is. You can compare that to the 120 and see how small one is compared to the other. It's a processed lens, that's why it's so small, and it's an f9. Then a bunch of film holders. Always carry more than you need, just in case. So I take a lot. Let me see. This is a 240 Fuji A. This is one of those lenses that everyone wants to buy now that they have the 8x10 Intrepid camera. And the reason why is because it's very small, very lightweight, and covers 8x10 perfectly, very sharp. So yeah, the Fuji 240 is a great lens. I should use it more. 240 is probably the lens I have the most on 8x10. I have 3 lenses if I'm not wrong. Alberto, good evening. The thing is, the security oftentimes ask me if I was shooting for commercial stuff, which I'm not. I know it's nothing, but every time it happens is a little bit disappointing. Freedom is nothing but an illusion. In my opinion, when you're out shooting, people are always going to try to discourage you, especially security. It's their job. They get paid to basically annoy people because they got nothing else to do. So they just go back and forth telling you what to do, what not to do. I've come to the conclusion that it's better just to be like, yeah, sorry, no commercial. And you just kind of go to Flickr, show them a few examples. Like, look, this is open. It's not my website. So that's a good reason to have a Flickr account and not a proper website only. Because you can just go, even if it's just old shots, you can be like, look, this is what I do. You see, this is open, no website, just like me as an amateur, blah, blah, blah. So you do something like that and you should be good with security. Always take a few empty lens boards to teach people how to mount lenses and stuff in different sizes between Copal 3, Copal 1 and stuff like that. Light meter, so I take the spot meter, for example. Another lens, this is a 180 with the inner lettering from Fuji. This will cover 8x10. The 180 with the outer letter won't cover 8x10, so this one covers. And these in Japan come out at around $180 to $200, so it's a great wide lens for 8x10, though it won't let you do a lot of movements. Commercial Ektar from Kodak, 14-inch, awesome lens, big coverage. A little soft with a bit of character, wide open, but once you stop it down, it looks amazing. Stuart, England 1, Croatia 0. Thank you, Stuart. I'm actually curious to see, as I was in London last weekend. For those who don't know, I went to London last weekend for an event on Saturday. And I managed to watch the game, which I'm not a soccer player or football player or watcher. And it was pretty fun, I have to say, watching it in a pub in England. I had a great time. So thanks for updating me, Stuart. Let me see, opening. These lens wraps are from, let me see, their brand is here. It's Donkey or Domke. They make awesome bags and awesome camera gear, and they're pretty inexpensive. No camera hype, no hipster pricing, just plain old nice stuff. The quality has, I feel, gone down. My side bag, the insert is a little there with quality. but it works pretty well. This is a 90mm f6.8. Pretty inexpensive lens for 90. Usually the 6.8s are not so seeked for because they don't have a huge circle. So this is one we used. Some other lens here. Okay, Alberto, I'll show you how the focal plane works. This, if I'm not wrong, is a 450. Yep, 450mm lens from Nikon F9. Pretty nice lens. Covers huge, so that's something I carry depending on what I'm shooting. Usually use it on the 8x10 or 11x14. So Alberto wants to see how the focal plane shutter works, which I'm missing the cover. I hope I didn't lose it. Let me see. So this goes out. Put it on the side. Okay. So that's when it's closed. That's open. That's closed. I'm pressing here, okay? So you see? And then when I want to put some tension, you turn this. And you can see each time I turn, it moves. Now it's a smaller window. Even smaller. And the last one is that little slit. Okay, so now you can see the speeds up here. It says 1,000 of a second, but there's a little lever on the bottom that turns it to half of that. Boom, 500 of a second. So moving that changes the speed. Okay, so at 100, when I click it, that went super fast. You can see this moving. Now it's at 250th. There it goes. And now it's going to go to 60, I think, 50. And then it's going to go to T, so open. That's how you focus. And then close. And that's it. So that's how it works. This whole trip back and stuff you don't use. It's just the top and this little knob and the shutters here. So that's how the focal plane works. Let me put the focusing glass back on. Yeah, it's on. So yeah, you focus on the glass, and there's supposed to be a little folding little back, but I think I've lost it in the last workshop, which would be pretty upsetting. Let me see. Spot meter. I try to teach about differences in spot meters. So this is the Pentax spot meter. Digital spot meter, pretty small, pretty nice. Short question, how do you transport your RZ 6x7? So when I'm using the, sorry, just have it here. When I'm using the RZ 6x7, most of the times I have the normal back, not the Polaroid back. So let me put the normal back on. So I'm not a big fan of carrying a lot of lenses or a lot of backs. So usually I'll take the normal body, normal waist level finder, normal back and lens, just one lens, maybe two at the most. And I use this with a shoulder bag from Donkey, the F6, I think small, I think that's what it's called. If not, a small backpack. I'm not a big backpack kind of guy. You can see here, this is the typical low pro mini tracker. This can fit this no problem and more stuff. You can take film, light meter and stuff. But most of the times when I walk around with a medium format camera, I walk around with just one single camera, and it's on my shoulder or on the shoulder bag. So yeah, I was trying to take the strap off. But this is what I usually carry it like that, just like that. And many times I've carried it with no strap and it's not a big issue. It's a heavy camera, but I mean, I don't go on marathons with this. I just kind of go for a quick walk with the kids, or I'm gonna go out for drinks with the family and a small snack, and I just carry this camera with me. If I'm going on a photo shoot, I'll put it in a backpack. So that's that. And rails for the Sinar. Good thing about the Sinar is these rails are basically screwable and extendable, so you can screw them and they become a huge camera. They're supposed to have the master rail. There's a master rail and there's smaller rails. So let me see if I can show you the difference. These are all extenders. You see they have the front and the back have a screw, and the front has the, I don't know how you say that, basically the smaller part where the screw goes in. In Spanish, this is the macho, hembra, which would be like the male and the female thread, I guess, in English. So yeah, there's a master rail, which is this one, okay? You see how it has both sides have screws? So one side, these are the caps, which are nice to have, but not necessary. And then you see both sides have that. So what this means is this is where the camera should start. And then when you want to extend it, you put one of these. They have a middle rail. You see how they hook there? And then you start screwing. Sorry, you screw on the extender. So you start screwing, and you'll see how they'll come together. And now they're a perfect joint. You could twist it and try to break it, and this thing will hold a ton of weight. The Barbas, I'm loving your new type of live streams. It's just like, I mean, I'm using my 4G at the studio. It seems to work, and better than being at home just sitting in front of a painting. I can show you guys my, stuff and how to use it and whatnot. So yeah, main rail has those two parts. So if you're gonna buy an extender, make sure it doesn't have those two parts, because you won't be able to hook this to another main rail. Like the main rails between themselves don't work. Only works with the extenders, okay? So take that in mind. Someone was asking, I think Alberto, what model this graphics is. I'm horrible at remembering the names, but if I'm not wrong, this is the Pacemaker Graphics or the Speed Graphic. But I'm telling you, I'm horrible at it. Just Google Graphics 4x5 focal plane shutter, and you'll find a bunch of different references for this. As I'm telling you, I'm not very good at names and remembering. So that's all I carry in this bag. And then here on the bottom, which maybe I should try to show you guys. Let me see. There won't be much light, but let me show you. Here on the bottom is where I have the rest of my lenses. That's the 90 millimeters Mamiya shift. Let me show you the shift because it's actually pretty hilarious. I have a 270 Computar here. I have a, look, let me show you. You see that's this. Let me see if I can tilt it a little bit more the other way. This is a 165, and this is a 75 from the Mamiya RZs. Let me show you the 75 because it's pretty interesting. Let me place you guys back on the tripod. And the other way around. Okay. So this is the shift lens for the Mamiya RZ. And this is something I bought, and this is probably something Hal is curious about because he loves architecture just like I do. This lens I thought would solve my medium format architecture shots. And I got it for a pretty good deal, but the thing is, look at the size of this lens. I mean, this is my hand, okay? This is my head. I don't know if you can see how big this lens is, but it's huge. The cap is metallic, okay? Front element is huge, but look at how big it is next to a Mamiya RZ, okay? It's basically the size of the body. So if you attach this lens to the Mamiya RZ, it becomes a huge, and I mean huge camera combination, lens combination. Good thing about this, it's a 75, which is not that wide, so don't get too happy about it. But this lens, I'm gonna end up dropping it, has this shifting. As you can see, it looks like it's breaking. If you've never heard about shifting, what it basically does is it keeps the lens parallel to the film back, or the film plane, but it shifts part of it. And what that does, if you've never used a shift lens or a large format lens, is just imagine you're looking at your subject and you're looking at an image. Either you can shift it horizontally, and it looks like if you moved your camera or you moved your subject sideways. And you can also do it vertically. So you could shift up or shift down. That is done for architecture when you want to see those straight lines on the buildings. It is done when you're shooting something and there's an element in the front and you're like, damn, I can't really move my camera because there's a river. So you could shift your lens so like you were inside the river shooting whatever you are, and that lamppost or that fence will be out of the way. And for that, these shift lenses are awesome. But this is heavy. This actually breaks your cable release because you usually use it with a cable release. So when you're doing this movement and stuff, this will cut your cable releases in half. And I've cut more than one with this lens. To cock the shutter, you use this little thing because it's disengaged, because it has the shifting. You have to like cock the shutter, oh, let me see, somewhere else. And then you can shift it in angles. So it can do 30 degrees or smaller. You see this here? So you could press it, turn it, press it, turn it. So you can go from shifting vertically to shifting a little sideways to shifting totally sideways to shifting downwards to shifting this way. So you've got all the 360 degrees divided into these parts of degrees. So this is 30 degrees. So I'm guessing this is, each one is 10. So this says 60, 50, 40. Is there a shift lens for the RB67? That's a good question. I'm not 100% sure about the shift lens on the 75 on the SB. But this is an awesome lens, and I'm never selling it because it's a fun lens and nobody really wants to buy these anymore. But they're awesome. They're not that expensive either. And this was the lens that I still have to mount. This is a 165 Super Angulon. This will be able to do architecture shots on 8x10. And I've heard it even will cover 11x14. So my idea for this lens was architecture with 11x14. Small, excuse the ring light. So yeah, basically 65. Also humongous. Don't put this on a 4x5 unless it's a heavy standard camera. So yeah, that's kind of the gear I use mostly for architecture and large format. I've got more lenses and probably more than I would ever need, but I do use them for workshops and stuff. So that's how I justify owning them. Any other questions you guys have, let me know. It's so warm in here right now. I have a fridge, maybe I should open it. But yeah, I did receive this week, well actually today, a liter of the Cinestill Monobath, the DF or 96DF, which is their new Monobath chemical or one-use developer. It develops, stops, and fixes all in one. I think it does it in 3 minutes, which is amazing. I got it free from Cinestill. They got in contact with me to send it to me. So I'll be reviewing it with 8x10 film because that's something they said no one was going to be doing on their people they contacted and send some test chemicals. So I'll be doing the Monobath on 8x10 for YouTube, and I'll try to write a little article and share the scans. What I'm going to do is get 2 film holders or more, and one I'm going to shoot a scene, or basically one scene I'm going to shoot one side and then the same scene on the other side, same emulsion. One's going to be developed normal and one's going to be developed on the Monobath, and then I'm going to get a different emulsion or same emulsion but different light conditions and shoot the same way. So my idea is to shoot like a very contrasty scene between light and shadow, see how it renders my normal developing time and the Monobath. Then I want to shoot maybe a shadow low contrast scene, same thing, one side, They'll let them 2 or 3 or 4 or 5, depends on how many scenes I do with the monobath, and then do the same the other side with HC 110 from Kodak and compare it. So that will hopefully be coming soon. I got 1 liter only. Hey PJ, Jesus, nice to see you. I got 1 liter of the Cinestill stuff, so that's how much I'll use. My tank takes 1 liter for 5 sheets of 8x10, so I'll do at least 5 sheets. They say you can do up to 16-ish plus rolls, so I'll probably do around 10 sheets of film, something like that. And then maybe I'll do a roll or 2, but I'm not a big fan of doing rolls experiments because you miss a lot more shots, and that always makes me sad if something comes out wrong, which it doesn't have to. So yeah, more color film for workshops. Anything else, guys? If you want to ask, let me know. We got 29 more minutes. I could take you up to the darkroom if you guys want to see the darkroom again, but I feel like I've shown that many times. I was going to bring my computer to scan a few more things because the computer up here has kind of failed miserably. So I've taken my wife's laptop to scan. But yeah, if you guys have any questions or anything like that, let me know. Trying to think of anything else that's happened apart from my trip to London, the Cinestill stuff. I met with the YouTuber Sean Tucker for a photo walk in London, and super nice guy, down to earth, very easy to meet and talk with. He wants to learn large format, so hopefully he'll take my offer coming over and I'll help him out see through the process of shooting large format. Let's see, Alberto was asking something. Alberto, what do you think about large format slide film? Alberto, I think large format slide film is probably the most awesome thing to shoot if you can. My main problem with slide film, and the reason I stopped shooting it, and I was shooting slide film in 35, 120, and large format up to 8x10, was the fact that they discontinued printing wet prints with a Cibachrome or Ilford Chrome. So the day I couldn't enlarge my negatives by using a darkroom, but I had to scan and do the hybrid workflow, that's the day I decided to move away from slide film. Not because I don't approve of it, it's just it's not my style, it's not something I enjoy. But still, when you put a 4x5 or an 8x10 slide on a light table, it's amazing. And when I see the work of Ben Horn, Michael Strickland, Alan Brock, and other YouTubers, Nate Carver, using slide film on large format and medium format, it makes me want to shoot it. But I just know that the moment I shoot it, it's just going to make me upset that I can't go into my darkroom and make a print straight away. Even if I don't have the time, just not being able to do that makes me not want to shoot it. Plus, the price of slide film has kind of like multiplied by 6 or I don't know how much since I bought it. I still have some 8x10 slide, 4x5 slide, and maybe a few rolls of 120 slide, and I'm not sure about that. So I even have black and white slide film. I have the Agfa Scala 200X in 4x5. I have a box of 10, which I've been waiting to use. Maybe I'll just use it for the sake of not waiting too long on it. But yeah, slide film is pretty amazing, and large format is probably the best medium for it. To me, the reason of large format is the fact that you can correct and use all those movements to your advantage when you're shooting. That each shot is unique and you can develop each shot differently is one of the biggest benefits. Plus the fact that you shoot less, and this is not the matter of you shooting digital or film makes you think more, it's just the process of seeing with a large format camera, setting it up, focusing, shooting, stuff like that, makes you just physically not be able to shoot too much, and that puts a lot of effort into shooting. I love the idea of using a camera which inverts the, well, actually doesn't correct the image either horizontally or vertically, so it kind of helps your brain learn how to compose backside, and upside down, and that's something I find very fun. I know a lot of people find it annoying, but yeah, that's basically what I think about large format and slide film. Yeah, it looks amazing, it's stunning. When I see Alex Berkey, Burke, also does a great job with slide film. He has done a few articles for Intrepid, and it's amazing. Nikita says, yep, have an enlarging question. Got the Durst C35, and it has built-in color filters. And I'm wondering how the yellow and red filters impact contrast and such when doing black and white enlarging. Nikita, what you have to do is when you buy a pack of paper, either Ilford or Foma or anyone like that, it comes with a little paper, and if not, you can Google it. And there's these little tables that tells you for different enlargers what is the filtering to manage to get the same contrast as contrast like 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and a half steps. And it's the same thing as using the little filters under the lens with the color head. I use it with the color head all the time, and I've never had an issue. I know people like using the ones under the lens. I haven't found a problem. So yeah, it's very, very, very simple. I'll see if I can find the little paper in my darkroom, which is upstairs, for another video and show you guys. But it's very simple. There's enlargers grouped by brands because each brand uses a different set of settings for the contrast amounts. So you could adjust the magenta and the yellow, so you would get exactly contrast 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But yeah, it's very simple. Same thing, basically. The Barba says, I have question on top, Nico. Sorry. Let me see the Barbas. Nico, do you know anything about a Mamiya RB shooting 6x9? The Barbas, the Mamiya RB 6x7 has a 6x7 back, 6x6 back, 6x4.5 back, and there's a motorized 6x8 back. There is no 6x9 back that I know of. The only way you could probably use a 6x9 back would be by an adapter and putting a Graflex 6x9, but it would probably have to shift and the focusing wouldn't be done through the top but through the lens, and maybe a ground glass, but that would mean adapting some stuff. It probably can be done, but I've never seen it. Nagita says, thanks, that's wonderfully simple. Was thinking this is going to be very difficult. Nikita, it's very, very simple. Basically, yeah, and if you were curious, write down on Google, color head, I think it's contrast filtering Ilford or something like that. And you should be able to find exactly how to do it with your enlarger. Usually it's, as I said, divided by brands, and it's fairly simple to find. Let me see if I can start putting stuff back in. Francisco Maso says, I got a 4x5 camera because I would like to shoot with Polaroid. Where can I find Polaroid sheets? Francisco, if you want to shoot 4x5 on a Polaroid, there's a few different ways, and I'm going to start off by saying all these films are discontinued, just in case. But one of the ways is a Polaroid 405 back, which is like this one. This is a Polaroid 405 back. Let me open this one, which is empty. This one's a different model. And it just opens and you load your film pack in here. In here. Close it and you shoot. This gives you a 3x4 Polaroid back picture, which is what is used with the FP100C from Fuji. And notice that it's the FP100C and nothing else, because there was an FP100C 45, which was for a 4x5 back, which used a Polaroid 550? 505? I'm starting to doubt myself. It used a different Polaroid back, which was a 500 something or 505 or 550 right now, I'm not sure. But not this one. This is the 405, so probably the other one was 505. So this is the most current film you can find. So just putting these together, you can shoot on it. But this film is discontinued. It's starting to reach prices of around $40 a pack. There's 10 sheets, but colors are amazing. If you want to use that back with a Polaroid, it's the 665, 669 and stuff, but that's extremely old. It's getting to be very, very old. So if you can find it, it's usually very expired and not working so well. Then, as I said, on the other backs, I think it's a Polaroid 550. So the other backs would shoot the FP 100C 45 or the Polaroid 55, Polaroid 59, Polaroid 54 and such, which were bigger. They were 4x5 size. They were just a tad bigger. And then you had the Polaroid back, which was the 545 or 505, 545 for sure, which used like the new 55 film, the Polaroid 55 too, which were sheets. They were like the ready loads. I don't think I have, yeah, I have one here. Let me see. So these are the backs that you would use for that other Polaroid. The sheets, you see it has these sheets. So this would be L for load. You would stick it in, you would expose it, then you would click to process, pull it out, and then you would peel it apart. So these were the older generation and the ones that used one sheet at a time. So you would load one sheet through here. And if you want to retrieve it without having to expose it, you would have to click here and you would pull it out and develop it later. That's how you would do it if you want to do it in the darkroom. This can be open. You can see the rollers and stuff. This one's pretty dirty. I have a massive amount of these, which I bought for New 55, and now New 55 is kind of not making film anymore. So yeah, that's about it. And then you could also shoot 8x10, but that's a whole different story. You were asking about 4x5, so I'm not going to go into that. Johannes says the Barbas Fuji 6x9 GW690 negative size is actually 6x8. So if the Mamiya is 6x8, it's actually the same. Now the Mamiya is probably also very much a 56 by 70 something. I have the Fuji 6x8 and the negatives are slightly smaller. This one actually has film in it, which I can't remember what film I have in it. So I'll have to shoot and see. Probably HP5. One thing a lot of people haven't seen, and I've heard people say this camera is broken, is the fact that the aperture and the speed is under the lens hood. So here is where you can change the settings. You probably can't see that so well. 500th of a second to T and 3.5 all the way through 32. And then you put it like that and it looks like it's broken. That's what I've heard before. I bought a broken camera, but it's there. Just so you guys know. But yeah, 6x8. And this one's missing on the back. It's the same size for the 6x9, but it has two little plates on the side to make it smaller. And I'm guessing the 6x7 even smaller. And mine lost one, so it's a 6.8 and a half. Do you like it for using handheld? I hear people say it's more of a tripod camera. Joey, if you're asking about this camera I've used all handheld. Used it on the trip to San Francisco where we met for a beer and stuff. And I shoot it always handheld, never used it on a tripod, never had an issue. But most of my film I pushed to 1600, so I wouldn't be able to tell you about slow speeds. But being a rangefinder camera, the shutter is a leaf shutter, so it barely moves. It's just a very little tick, just like a Leica camera. A little louder, that's for sure. But no problem with this camera. The thing is, you do have to keep your levels and stuff, but it's very hand holdable. It even has this shutter here if you want instead of here, so you can shoot kind of like that. It has the lock, so you won't miss shoot. Right now, you see, if I locked it, I would be able to shoot, but I'm on the last frame. You can shoot 220 and 120 film. It has a little bubble level there, which is usually fairly accurate, and the bubble levels don't dry up like other cameras. Back reminder, film reminder, lens, which is where you see through, and it's a rangefinder. Spot is small but easy to see. Viewfinder is pretty big and nice, not too bad. And yeah, I enjoy this camera a lot. Plus, I bought it because I saw my Mamiya 7 and this substituted it, which is not the same thing, but it's much cheaper. So yeah, that would be answering at least some of you guys' questions. Let me know if you have more, guys. But yeah, sadly, that FP100C is no longer being made. This is a pack that I think got used up last weekend by my partner. So this is what you end up having. Someone was saying that they saved these. If you save these, you can actually put the picture and use it as picture kind of frames as cheapos, and it works fairly okay. You can even dismantle it because it's fairly easy. There's just a few pieces of plastic in there, and then there's a pressure thing. So yeah, and if not, recycle it. It's plastic. We should all recycle our plastic. But yeah, I use these as little picture frames. Cohen, good evening. But sadly, Fuji decided to discontinue this awesome film. Funny thing is, when this film, and let me grab something that looks more it. When this film was available, it was around $8.50, so $9 for 10 shots. And I found it too expensive to use. I never saw the beauty of using this, mostly because I was using Hasselblad back, which is ridiculous. It gives you that 6x6 or 56x56 square on your image, and I never thought it was worth it. But with this discontinued, I went ahead and I don't know why I bought a bunch, mostly to use on 4x5s for students. But this is extremely sad that there's no option after this. And I know Fuji has the wide and people are adapting it, but it won't ever be the same. The peel apart just has a different look to it. And this is, I think, the last expiration, which is 2008. So August 2018, this summer, this will be the end of the expired life of this. So yeah, if you have some, take good care of it. So yeah, we got around another 15-ish minutes. If you want to know anything else, let me know. I'm gonna go through this backpack, see if I find my Graphics part, because I'm missing it. Oh, one very interesting thing, and if you guys want it, I'll send you this. When you're using the Polaroid, oh, did you see the announcement for that doc from SuperSense announcing tomorrow? No, haven't seen anything, Alex, but I will have a look. If you're using the film, this is what it crops on a 4x5. So if anyone wants to have this frame scanned or photocopied, this is a photocopy. I have the original one. Let me know. It says template, Polaroid framing template for 405 film holder. So if you guys want this so you don't screw up your pictures, because when I shoot pictures many times I cut off an ear, I cut off the top of someone's head, cut off the bottom, something like that when I'm shooting portraits. I bought this and I made photocopies for my students. So if you guys want this, I'll scan it, put it on my website or something like that, or in a Facebook group so you can use it. The return of pack film. That would be amazing, Alex, if it would be the return of pack film. I saved my pack film for now, but hopefully it will come back. I've got hopes that someone will do something about it. I just don't know when. So yeah, I'm missing my, this is what I use my graphics mostly. It's the Aero Ektar from Kodak. I have the name somewhere. Oh, here. Kodak Aero Ektar 2.5 covers 5x5 film, which ends up being 4x5. But it has a very big aperture, and it has no shutter, so you need, these are homemade lens caps made with cardboard for framing. So yeah, lost my Graphics back. Hopefully, maybe it's in here. Doesn't look like it. Nope. I'll keep on looking. Maybe it'll come somewhere. But that would be sad. Yeah, any other questions? I'll have a look at the fluorine caps. Okay, let me see. Cohen. I'm leaving to the south of Europe on holiday in a couple of weeks, but I'm thinking of bringing an X100T for color. Scared that the film won't go well with Portra Ektar. Am I worrying too much? Cohen, honestly, Portra and Ektar does awesome. I'm a big fan of Portra. Ektar is just not my film. The red hues and the shadows that turn kind of purple-ish is not my kind of film. I've not managed to expose one sheet of Ektar that I like. Actually, that's a lie. One sheet only. And I had a bunch of them and roll film and stuff like that. Never been able to get good results from Ektar. So that's why I don't use it mostly. But Portra, I've had good luck with so far. And I highly recommend you take it. I mean, not that I'm saying don't take a digital camera. Digital cameras, I use my phone because the quality is good enough for what I use. But the digital cameras are great to use when you don't want to expend a lot. PJ says, I like Ektar. It's one of the favorites. I've just never exposed Ektar in a way that I like. First, I live in a place where the light is usually not very pretty. It's quite dull during the winter, during the summer. It's just not a film I use. I've turned mostly to black and white, but when I want color, I use Portra. And Portra 160 if it's possible. That's why I have Portra 160 here. But yeah, it shouldn't be an issue. If you're concerned about that, it should really not be a problem. Portra renders beautifully. Ektar renders differently. I shoot film always, it's just that I think the heat will mess it up. Oh, don't be worried about the heat. Don't be worried at all. Unless you leave your film in the sun for like a week in a car, even then it shouldn't be a big issue. Film, it does degrade, but it's nothing as fast as we imagine. So don't be concerned about that. It won't be a problem. You can take your film fine to your trip and just being smart in the sense of just taking it in a bag to your room, in a hotel, whatever. You don't need to put it in the fridge. Stuff like that. It doesn't need to be done. I was reading today about Michael Strickland that went to the Grand Canyon for like a week, and it was really warm there, and he had all his film in a Pelican case, and it was fine. He's seen no shifts, no problems in his color shots. So I'll take his word because I've done it too, and it's fine. And you shouldn't be concerned. But of course, you can shoot the digital camera if that's something you also think will take both. You know, take some film, take the digital camera, and if you're concerned, you can just expose for one or expose for the other. But it won't be a problem. Sorry guys, I'm just trying to pick up before, because I leave here pretty fast. So yeah, it shouldn't be a problem. Cool, I'm living in Belgium, excellent for film keeping. Cohen, where are you going for the holidays? Where are you going? I need a 45 centimeter wide bag at least. Corsica, oh nice. I was in Sardinia for summer shooting film. Actually, I had a Contax T3 back in that day, which I sold for very little money. I should have kept it, but it wasn't an issue. The heat was never an issue with film. Nacho, sorry, what did you say? You need a 45 centimeter wide bag. I don't know what you mean by you need a wide bag. Another thing I always take is a little pencil. This is where I write in my film holders what kind of film. That way it's not permanent. Most photographers used to use permanent markers. This guy, for example, used little stickers to mark his studio. So I use the pencil. You can't probably see it. You see, HP5 and Portra 160. Usually have one color, one black and white for students. So yeah, that's all there is in that Pelican case. So yeah, guys, 5 more minutes. Any last questions, let me know. But heat shouldn't be a problem for film. I always think about film, and this is something I've thought to myself a few times, is back in the day when film was the only option, those people that went to Africa, to those National Geographic magazine shooters, would carry hundreds of rolls, if not thousands, to those trips through Africa where there was probably no electricity, probably no cold places to store. And that film was much older, which had worse like lifespan, it had worse conditions, and the film was more sensitive to all these things. And those shots still came out great. If you pick up a National Geographic back in the day, it looks amazing. And we're talking about shooting Kodachrome, shooting all this old slide film, which probably was even more sensitive than today's film. And it never was an issue, or at least we never saw it being a big issue. So if that managed to survive, why wouldn't our modern film with our modern conditions of cars with AC, proper good backpacks, which are probably better insulated, and all this stuff. So I don't see a problem with flying with film and traveling to hot places. I go every summer, except for this one, to Miami, and it's very hot and very humid. And I've left my film in the car and stuff like that. And it was never a problem, so it shouldn't be a problem for anyone else. Any last minute questions, guys? If not, I'm gonna probably pick up and go. I was gonna say something. I mean, I'm working on a new photo stories. I've had a few setbacks on the photo stories planning for this summer. The 2 companies I was planning on going have so far said either no or not yet. So I'm trying to figure out where I could go to do a documentary. But we'll see. Ignacio, I was saying I have an Alfred Booker camera 11x9. And you need a big bag. Well, I'm a big fan of Pelican cases, but they sometimes could get very, very expensive. So that's something like that. But yeah, I'm gonna call it a day. I know it's the game. It's 10 o'clock. England's playing, and nothing. So thanks for those who joined me. Sorry for the overheating. It's just really hot here. And thanks for all the questions and stuff. I will see you next week with a new live stream. Hopefully, I'll be showing you some large format cameras that I have, and maybe some darkroom stuff. But yeah, Ignacio says, and I need advice to transport. I don't find a backpack enough wide to transport. Any advice of should I use a flight case? I wanted to carry up in the mountain. You could build your own backpack. I have heard of people doing that, like buying the stuff and sewing and making their own backpacks for extremely big cameras. But I don't know any extra wide or big backpacks as of now. Maybe you can go to a mountaining camera store, like backpacking, trekking place, and ask to see which ones are the widest loads. But I would probably end up building my own sort of backpack bag or something. A lot of people use baby strollers and use that with big wheels and just take them to the mountains. Back frame, aluminum, and then just strap a case to it, perhaps. Like Nikita says, the pack frame, it's like those frames that are metallic that just have the aluminum kind of L shape, and then you can put whatever you want. You could probably just bungee cord that to that and just move around. But yeah, guys, thanks for watching, and see you next week. If you have any questions, remember you can contact me through social media, Instagram, and whatnot. Bye, and thank you.